The Olympics, a time when IOC President Thomas Bach sucks up to some of the most powerful people in the world, and in turn, takes it light on mounting evidence of doping athletes. It is also a time for the athletes to be heard at the podium, like Tommy Smith and John Carlos bravely protesting at the '68 Mexico Games. Also, for rising stars, like somebody named Lou Alcindor, to boycott him with Colin Kaepernick's powerful yet silent knee. IOC President Bach did not mince words, do not protest, or face the repercussions at the most recent Tokyo Games, which brings us to France, a country that came too close for comfort in an election being won by a promoter of white supremacist conspiracy theories and the daughter of a Holocaust denier, that being Marine Le Pen. There were many issues going into the Qatar World Cup, lest we forget, from how the media was treated to the country criminalizing the LGBTQ+ community. The human rights abuses were simply paramount. A facet of the tournament the most powerful in sports chose to turn a blind eye towards. A huge point of contention were the undocumented workers, their quarters, bed bugs where they slept, sewage running through toilets, bathrooms serving as showers, putrid conditions no human being should ever endure. Yet, the talks of undocumented workers in France has not made its way into the mainstream. Gay Sarambunu, a man from Mali who is an undocumented worker, has granted permission to the media on the condition of anonymity. For 3 months, Sarambunu, who is 41 years old, worked between 8 and 11-hour shifts for €80 a day. He would tell Africa News overtime was never paid. The biggest city in France, that being Paris, is set to host the 2024 Olympiad. Here is a snapshot of where Sarambunu lives while working to construct state-of-the-art facilities for athletes to compete and politicians to flaunt. I accept it because I know my situation. If you don't have papers, you do all the hard work, all the crappy jobs. You have no choice, he said, as he boiled water on a stove on the floor of the tiny room he shares with 4 people. We hear of many stories about the Olympic Village athletes live in. The Mirror pictured here would report of the culture that goes on behind the scenes. In Paris, those villages, they're being constructed by the undocumented. Long working hours, ill treatment, and low wages are all part of the testimonies communicated by as little as a few Western media outlets compared to coverages related to Qatar. As with the World Cup, payments were rarely on time. This practice has continued in France with the Olympics. Workers expressed their frustration that they never received the salary guaranteed on the contract. The amount is usually equal to the minimum wage or just slightly higher. They also said the working schedule of 35 hours a week is rarely respected. In May of 2022, Impact International noted, the mostly minority ethnic undocumented labor has led to only 100 checks being carried out by authorities despite thousands being employed, constructing the many venues that will be used to host the games. Why they are reluctant to investigate the full extent of the problem remains a mystery, though one may guess. These undocumented workers will likely be employed on poor terms and conditions and not receive the pay and benefits that lawful employees should expect to receive in the country. The discovery of the abuses of migrant laborers comes as France brands itself as the Games for social inclusion of refugees and asylum seekers. Furthermore, the French government supports the Olympic Refuge Foundation ahead of their games. Nova News reported the companies behind the hiring of the undocumented and putting the workers through stressful hours and low pay are construction giants BTP or GCC, Proprio GCC. They have denied the hiring of irregular migrants in its construction sites, per Nova News. Robert Old, the executive director at Impact International, would say the French Olympic authorities are taking the hypocrisy of virtue signaling to new extremes. President Macron's showpiece tournament may hide the trouble that France has found itself in for a few weeks, but the dishonor of exploiting labor in service of building their stadia will stain his reputation. On top of it all, the required security conditions are usually not ensured. Workers lack proper measures and equipment to protect themselves. One worker has even told a news outlet their salary has been outright stolen. In the world of sports and politics, you come to us to be objective. You come to us to not have any sort of agenda, but to find the truth, seek it out, and deliver it to you. We do not play favorites, even though We would obviously welcome Macron beating someone who is so evil like Marine Le Pen. But we must ask, where is the outrage?